Hi, this is Asher, and I'm here to invite you to our functional breathing workshop going on this Friday at Foundation Baptist Church in Lindale, Texas, from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and is for all East Texans ages 5 years old and up, all the way to 100 plus. Every time I post something about breathing, someone invariably says, "You know what? I'm 40 years old. I've been breathing my whole life, and I'm perfectly fine." That comment represents a fundamental misunderstanding of the reality of the human body and that breathing is a conditioned behavior. What this means is this: they just did a study using artificial intelligence. And what they did is they tracked 100 people and they looked at their breathing patterns over the course of 24 hours. And then they asked the AI to identify each person based on that breathing pattern. And the AI was 98.6% successful in doing so. And what that means is that we each have a breathing print similar to a fingerprint. And that breathing print is established over the course of time based on conditioning, based on our experiences in life. We breathe 20,000 times a day, and it just makes intuitive sense that if you do something that many times in a day, that the quality of that thing is going to matter in terms of quality of life and well-being. We know from research that 95% of the population breathes in a dysfunctional way, and this includes practically everyone. There are some athletes in terms of studies that are better breathers than the average population, but very few. In fact, there was a study conducted recently in Japan with 1,933 athletes, ages ranging from elementary level athletes all the way up to collegiate level athletes. And what they found was that 90% of them, over 90% of them, I think it was 90.6, were breathing in a way that is considered dysfunctional. We're going to talk about what dysfunctional breathing is on Friday, what that looks like, and how to address it. About 15 years ago, I had a conversation with the cardiologist who works with all of the professional sports teams in the city of Houston. And I was asking him about endurance athletes, people who run marathons and they cross the finish line and then they die. And I was curious what he thought about that. Why is that happening? And he said it's just the nature of the beast. It's part of, it comes with the territory of engaging in long term endurance training. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Fast forward about 15 years, it was this last year that George Dallam, who is a PhD in exercise physiology, wrote a paper. And what he said is, no, that's not what's happening. What's actually happening is these athletes are breathing too much for the metabolic demands of the activity that they're engaged in. So they're breathing at too high a rate. They're off gassing too much CO2. CO2 is dropping in the blood. That results in vasoconstriction, constriction of the blood vessels, which reduces blood flow and oxygen to the brain and the heart. It takes about 30 seconds to get a 40 to 60% reduction in blood flow to the brain. Just a 5% reduction in oxygen to the heart causes scar tissue to develop on the heart. And what ends up happening is the electrical signal that makes the heart pump hits that scar tissue, goes in a circle, makes the heart flutter, and then the person passes from that. That's incredible that breathing can have such far-reaching implications that it could literally save your life if you know how to breathe functionally and properly during physical exercise. There was a study just conducted, in fact, in 2025. This was a study conducted on veterans. They looked at 106 male cyclists who were also triathletes. They trained a lot. And what they found was that 47% of them showed signs of scarring on their heart. That's an incredibly high number. And that scarring resulted in a 4.5 times more likely, greater likelihood, rather, of experiencing abnormal heart rhythms. It's really amazing to consider that that is potentially reduced, that threat, that danger is potentially reduced simply by understanding how the breathing system works and practicing just a little bit on functional breathing. Here are some of the benefits of the practice that you might receive over the course of time. First is an increase in VO2 max, which is your body's ability to use oxygen during high intensity exercise. An increase in HRV, which is good because HRV tends to go down as you age. But as you engage in breathing practices and physical exercise, HRV goes up. An increase in stamina, a significant increase in stamina, a 46% faster recovery, and sleep quality improvement over the course of time, which really speaks to me, resonates with me big time, because I did DNA testing, genetic testing that indicated that I have a predisposition to insomnia. I was an insomniac for decades, and I thought I was going to have to live that way for the rest of my life. I had no clue that breathing practice would address that. I started engaging in breathing practice, combined it with mindfulness practice, and I've gone about 5 years now, no longer an insomniac. And in fact, I have no problem sleeping except for maybe one time per month. Whereas before, I would sleep for 2 hours. This was every day, sleep for 2 hours, wake up, and then potentially be up for the rest of the night. So, who is this workshop for? As I mentioned before, all human beings ages 5 years and up. And the reason I say 5 years old is because it's an average of 5.5 years old when we as human beings change the way we breathe from functional to dysfunctional. And there's a whole list of reasons that happens, primarily social reasons, and that's about the age where people go to kindergarten, first grade. If you're interested in nervous system regulation, emotional regulation, being able to breathe in a way that allows your body to rest throughout the day, which increases the likelihood that you have good quality sleep at night, this workshop is for you. If you're interested in getting the most out of your workouts or getting the most out of your performance during an athletic endeavor, this workshop is for you. If you're simply interested in living optimally, this workshop is for you. I cannot wait to see everybody Friday. I hope to see you there.